Good morning and welcome back to the Knitting Plot podcast. This is episode 3. My name is Natalie or Nats, and you can find me on Ravelry and also on Instagram as Nats Knits UK. And this is my little corner of the internet to talk about my knitting and crafting. So if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, grab a brew. My coffee is coming to you today from my Starbucks Dubai mug. You'll get to see the whole collection at some point, I'm sure. But grab something to drink. Grab a project, and I will take you through the traditional knitting podcast format, starting with things that I have finished. So I've actually got loads to talk to you about in terms of things that I finished, and I don't know how this is even possible, mainly just because they were small projects, I think, more than anything else. So I've got quite a bit to go through. I think the first thing to talk to you about is my Oslo hat. So here is my Oslo hat. Now, this is the second Oslo hat that I've made. I did make one for my nephew at Christmas. This is the mohair edition pattern. I don't know if that's any different to the standard Oslo hat pattern. I suspect not, because that seems to be, from what I can tell online when people talk about some petite knit patterns, they seem to be marketed as something different but actually be very, very similar to other versions of that pattern, which I think frustrates a few people. I mean, like anybody, like petite knit is very much out there and for everybody to absorb, and I think there seems to be like a real bone of contention out there with people as to whether or not they like petite knit or don't. I'll just be honest, this was a pattern that I just quite liked the look of, and it got the sewn down brim. Now, what I did learn from the last time that I knitted it was that it might be somewhat easier to do the sewn down brim if I did a cast directly onto a cable, as opposed to like a provisional cast on onto a cable, which I did this time, so that I didn't have to then go and pick up stitches to sew it down. I'd already got them hanging out on a cable, and I'll be honest, that worked really, really well. So I think I'll definitely be making this hat again. I think it works. It's a really nice pattern. Say what you will about petite knit, they do have some pretty good contemporary patterns, and this is just a bit of an all-round, if you ask me. Now, I actually did this because I have, let me show you, this is one of my first knit projects last year last year or the year before, and it's the Everyday Cowl by Andrea Mowry, DRK Everyday Cowl. I've talked about this because I'm planning to do another cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I want it to end up bigger than this. I mean, on camera this actually looks quite sizable, but when it's on, it's a bit more neckerchief like, and I was quite tight around the neck, and I'm hoping that I'm looking to do the night and day cowl, and I'm hoping for it to be a bit more voluminous. But I wonder whether that's maybe the way it was done around the back. But basically, I had got a lot of this Rico Designs hand-dyed happiness yarn left over in this colourway, and I thought, why not do a hat that matches it? I did pair it with Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the mist colour, I think it's called, because I wanted something a bit fluffier, and also I'd got some of that left over, so I thought, why not use that for a hat? And I just wanted a matching set, and now I have one, so I'm quite pleased with that. So yeah, it was a bit of not a planned project, I guess, but something that I decided in the moment I wanted to do, and it knitted up really quickly, and I'm really pleased with the results. So that's probably my first finished object. I also have finished, and this is very exciting for me, but I've also finished my first ever colourwork project. Now, I mentioned on a previous podcast that I had taught myself to knit continental because I was really keen to do colourwork, stranded colourwork, and I thought that might be easier if I could knit continental style, because then I would be in a position to be able to do sort of like two-handed colourwork, so one colour in one hand, one in another. And I thought I wanted to give this a practice. And there was a pair of socks that I tried quite a long time ago and really struggled with. I struggled to get the right size because of the floats and everything pulling in a bit too tightly. And it was a pair of socks, and they were the Treasure socks by the Winwick Mum. I just really loved the pattern and the way it used a self-striping yarn to create variation through the colour work. And so I decided to give that a go again. And here they are. Look at these. I'll bring those a little bit closer so you can see. So you might be able to see the self-striping yarn and how it fades through. The yarn itself is West Yorkshire Spinners Milk Bottle for the main colour, and then it's Summer Sunset for the contrast colour. And I think this was actually part of a release of colourways that the Winwick Mum did in collaboration with West Yorkshire Spinners. So it's their signature 4-ply base sock yarn. And I didn't do the entire pattern. Bearing in mind this is my first ever colour work pattern, I was quite intimidated by how the colour work would work down the foot, because it was colour work. This colour work pattern repeats along the top, but then there's a different colour work through the heel, flap, gusset and down the sole of the foot. And I'll be honest, that was a little too terrifying for me. So what I thought I would do is just do the pattern that I like the most, which I kind of think this looks a bit like a leaf pattern. There's something a bit autumnal about these colours as well, like sort of turning leaves colours. So I wanted to just do this. So I thought, well, if I do this on the leg, that gives me the practice that I really want on doing stranded colour work without being too terrifying. So that is exactly what I did, and I'm really pleased with the way they've turned out, to be honest with you. I used 2.5mm needles, magic loop, Chow-goo needles to do the cuff, and then I moved into 9-inch circulars, 2.75mm for the leg, because I wanted to give myself the larger needle size so that sort of the tension wouldn't be too tight. That would give me a bit of give on the tension of the leg for the colour work. But also I didn't want to have to deal with how you might need to catch floats doing magic loop for the body of the leg. So again, one of the benefits of teaching myself to knit continental is that 9-inch circulars are a lot more comfortable to use because there's less hand movements there. So that worked really well. What I did do then is I stayed in 2.75mm needles, although I changed back to magic loop for the heel, flap, gusset and foot and toe and what have you. I did stay in the 2.75, and I probably shouldn't have done. I should probably have gone back down to 2.5mm for that. It is, it's a squishy. I wouldn't say it's bigger. Like, it doesn't fit my foot any differently, really. It just feels a bit squishier. But that's quite nice because that's a nice cozy sock. So yeah, here's my little pair. And I just think they are super cute, and I very much look forward to wearing these. I did also, there was something that I did that was slightly different. Which one is it on? Ah, yeah, okay, this one. So bear with me, I'll pop that down there. Somebody put something on Threads, which is, if you're not familiar with Threads, it's like Instagram's version of Twitter, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. And they asked a question whether or not you use a crochet hook to pick up stitches. For instance, when you're doing, sort of picking up stitches for the gusset after you've done the heel flap. And I'd never thought to do this. I always just kind of stick my needle in, loop it around, and I think it probably puts a fair amount of stress on the stitch. So I thought, well, I'll give that a go, actually. I don't know if I've done it slightly wrong, if I've picked up stitches like differently to how I would if I was doing it with the needle, but I don't know whether this will show up on camera, but you can see that there is like, it almost looks slightly like holy along the edge here, where I've picked up those stitches. So I don't know if that's from doing it with the crochet hook or whether that's just from, because it's not on the other side, so maybe it is just the way that I've picked them up, the angle I've gone in at with the crochet hook. I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't really change what it looks like. I'm happy with it, so nothing to be concerned about. But what I will say is that using the crochet hook was really easy and a really nice way to pick up the stitches, and it was actually weirdly easier for me to monitor how many stitches I'd picked up, because I very often lose count of those. I think maybe because it was quicker picking up with a crochet hook. So if you don't do that, give it a bash and see how you feel, but just be careful whereabouts in the stitch you're going into, I guess. I know I definitely went under 2 legs of the stitch, but I don't know whether, you know how sometimes the heel flap kind of turns over ever so slightly. I suspect that when I'm using my needle, because of the way it's attached, I probably go into the bit that's not curled over. I'm probably not describing that very well, but if you know, you know. So those are my treasure socks. I'm really pleased with them, regardless of that little blip, I guess, on the heel. And yeah, I will definitely be doing more colour work. I have more colour work planned, so that's very exciting. Now, one of the other projects that I worked on, which was a super quick project actually, I mentioned that I have a new nephew. I'm going to insert some additional footage into this because just so that you can see it. I've given my new nephew his little knit project, so I don't have it now, so I will insert some footage so you can see it, but these are the baby Uggs. This is me in the past. I just wanted to quickly film a short bit because I'm going to visit my brother tomorrow, so these finished objects are going to him because I've got, I think I already mentioned, a brand new nephew, and I'm going to visit him for the first time tomorrow. And yeah, so I made a couple of little things, and they are the cutest. So we have got here some little baby booties, and for this I used the West Yorkshire Spinners Bow Peep, and I used that in the dusky blue colour. I forget the name of the colour. I'll pop it on the screen. But look at them. They are the cutest little things. I've just stuffed them out with some tissue paper just so that they've got the right shape, kind of block them out a little bit in the right shape. These are just the cutest things. They're so adorable. And I would wear these myself as like slippers if they did them in human sizes. Hello, Dennis. Dennis is confused as to why I'm talking to my phone. You can't see him. He's down here. I'll get some footage of him as well because he's adorable. But yes, so little baby booties, and then also some little matching scratch mittens. And I just kind of made these up. I mean, I figured that, you know, it can't be too complex. You just want to make a little mitten for baby-sized hands. And I think there is enough room in these for little scrunched up baby hands, but also as they get a little bit bigger as well. So yeah, just some little booties and some little scratch mitts. And they're the cutest, making me slightly broody, only ever so slightly. I could easily as well knit another 4 of these and put them on Dennis because I think they'd be perfect for him as well. Do you want to see the camera? Let me show you Dennis. Come here, come here. Oh, so this is Dennis. Say hello to the camera, Dennis. No? Okay, it's more interesting because now he can see out of the window. But yeah, so this is Dennis. Do you think you would wear a little boot? Do you want a little boot? He doesn't seem so fussed by the boots, but you know, he's a dog. He'll wear either whatever I put him on his feet because he hasn't got opposable thumbs to be able to take them off again afterwards. Mwah! You can go down now. Okay, so that was Dennis. Anyway, just a quick little bit of video just to show these off because I just think they're the cutest thing ever. So that footage is of the baby Uggs, and I've got my notes down here, so forgive me while I look at them. These were by Autumn Street, and they were in the 0 to 3 months, and I did them in, if I haven't said in the video footage, I did them in the Bo Peep in the Dancing Bluebells colourway, which I showed on a previous video. They were really quick. I started them on the 24th of January and finished them on the 29th, and I really was literally just doing those in between other projects, so it was a little bit here and there. If I'd focused all my attention on them, I probably could have done them all in one day comfortably. So super quick, and they fit him perfectly according to my brother, so I'm pleased with those, and I genuinely would definitely make an adult pair of those for myself because they just looked very, very comfortable. So those were the baby Uggs. And then the other project, which I have alluded to making, was a request from a colleague of mine. And she wanted a hat that looked like a lemon. And I wasn't quite sure how to go about doing this. I could get like pretty much any standard hat pattern and make it yellow, but I wanted it to be more lemon-like. So I looked for something that was ribbed because I thought that would create more of a shape to it. And I'd also got an idea of what I wanted to do for like an I-cord stalk and a leaf pattern. And actually I found what I thought would be a great pattern, which was the Just a Hat pattern by Halyna Shemchuk. I hope I've said that right. And it's a false English rib, which I have broken up so that it's not all ribbing, because I just think lemons are a little bit more mottled. There is a tiny mistake, but won't be seen because it's under the brim of the hat. But I also found a leaf shape on a website called Natural Suburbia, posted in 2011 by a lady called Linda, which worked perfectly. So I will show you my lemon hat. Look at this. So this is the lemon hat. So like I say, it's a false English rib, and what I've done is a free pattern, by the way, on Ravelry. But what I've done is I've tried to break it up throughout with a slight variation to that pattern. So what I've done is I've repeated some of the rows to create flatter edges, so it's not all one, you know, sort of raised ridge, just to give it a bit more sort of, yeah, just a bit more to the pattern. I did forget to do that, so further down I just got stuck into the pattern and forgot that that's what I planned to do. So underneath the ribbing it is just the straight false English rib, but you won't see that because it's underneath the ribbing. And then as I did the crown shaping, I switched colours so that I could create this stalk with a bit of I-cord there. And then this is the little leaf pattern which I found on naturalsuburbia.com. I was in two minds as to whether to do like 2 leaves. I mean, if she wants an extra leaf, I can always add it for her. But I just thought that was a cute little leaf. It just works perfectly, and I love the fact that it's a bit flappy because I just think it's cute. More importantly, I think she will love it. So she's very excited about receiving it. When I told her I'd cast it on, there was pure joy in her face, and when she'd seen the colours and how I was progressing with it, but she hasn't seen the finished article yet because she's not on Instagram, which is where I've posted it, so she won't know just yet what that looks like. So I think, oh, and I do have, no, I don't have another finished object. I have one that's very close to finish though, so let me talk about my works in progress. Now, you will probably remember I have been working on the My Jose hood, and this is getting close now. It is ginormous, not a word. Is ginormous a word, or is it just something that I say is a word? It could be. So this is, again, it's using Rico Designs yarns, and I think I said on the last video, it's not something that I personally would wear close to my skin. The more I work with it, I probably would, in all fairness. So it is enormous right now. I know I've put this on my head before and looked like an idiot, and I'll probably do the same thing again now, just for funsies. But we've talked about the fact that the recipient's head is a man-sized head, not my tiny pea head. I have tried it on my other half who has a man-sized head, and it fits him really well. So, but basically what I've got here, you can't see because obviously I don't want to extend it out fully. I should have put it on, like, try it on tubing or something like that. But we are getting to the point now where it's in its stage where it could wrap around. Again, I don't know how I make this look so bad, because I've managed to do it before in front of my own mirror and it not look absolutely horrendous. But when I do this, I can feel it obviously on my skin. It isn't itchy at all. I thought it would be because it's quite, you know, it's 100% organic wool, and it's like to touch, you wouldn't sit there and say it was super soft, and so you assume it's going to be itchy, but actually it's really not that itchy at all. It's not even prickly on my skin. I quite like it. I've just realised I've got perfume on, so when the recipient does get this, he's going to smell a little bit like my perfume because I've just rubbed it all over my neck. I will wash it before I give it to him because I've got to block it and all of that sort of stuff. But it is getting to the point now where when these are extended out fully and not bunched up on needles, it does wrap around quite nicely, so to the back. So there's a bit more to do to bring it all round to the front, and then, you know, sort of have the I-cord tie at the front. But it's getting there. I think I've got probably about 15 rows to do, maybe. But, well, 15 repeats of the 15 of the 2-row repeats to do. But there's like over 200 stitches on there, so that is a slog. To do one of those rows takes an absolute age, and it's slow going. And I'll be honest with you, I don't always want to work on it because it's kind of repetitive, and yeah, I also, this is the last of the yarn, and I don't think this is going to last me. It may get me close to the end, but it's certainly not going to be enough to do the I-cord ties. But I'm fairly certain the last time I was in my local yarn shop, I saw that she had still got some of these in that kind of charcoal colour. So I'm probably going to have to say to her, Bagsy that for me, because I'm going to need more of it. I don't know whether it's going to be 1 or 2, because it's like an Aran weight yarn. So actually, what looks like quite a sizable amount doesn't go as far as you might hope it's going to. So, but I will deal with that. I'm sure I can get more of it, and if I can get it from my local yarn store, then I know it's from the same colour lot, the same dye lot. I think it is anyway. I picked up a big chunk of it when she first got it in stock, so fingers crossed that's the case. The other thing that I'm working, because I've just finished the lemon hat, I really only have one other thing that I'm working on, which is I mentioned that I'm part of the Crazy Sock Lady YouTube membership, and we've got this 30 minutes of knitting sort of commitment for the year. So I decided, I'd been doing my 30 minutes of knitting on just all of my projects, but I decided I probably needed an actual project to say I'm dedicating 30 minutes of knitting to this all the time. So I have started a jelly roll blanket, which is a pattern by Kay Jones, and I'm doing it in fingering weight scraps basically, and I'm putting everything scraps wise as I finish a pair of socks, because I do a lot of socks, so I have a lot of sort of fingering weight yarn. As I'm finishing them, I'm putting them into a magic knot ball, and I've actually gone through a lot of my scraps and put them into a magic knot ball now as well. And I've started my first roll. Now what I will say is these are weirdly hideous colours, like the way that it is at the moment, and this obviously is not a completed strip, because this will be the length of the blanket, so this has got to be quite long in the first instance before I then attach the next strip and add that in. But I realised, like, sort of some of my socks are beautiful colours as socks, but when you then put them together with other stuff, they're a bit dirgy. I don't know, what do you think? These lovely colour pair of socks, lovely stripy socks, lovely colour fade socks, but together in this strip look pretty grim. Now, I have thought about that when building my magic knot ball, because I was just like, oh god, I don't want everything to look like really grim. So I've thought a little bit about the order in which I have put my knot ball together, at least in the first instance. Obviously, as I add stuff in now, it's just going to be whatever it will be. And I wonder, if you do magic knot balls, do you put any thought into that, or do you just kind of go, as I finish stuff it gets added in and what will be, or do you do pink magic knot balls and blue magic knot balls with all the different variations of those colours, so that you can be a bit more colour coordinated if you're doing a scrappy project? I don't know. How do you tend to do it? Because this is my first magic knot ball, so I've just kind of gone with whatever's there really. And those are my only 2 projects that I'm currently working on, which is a travesty because I am not a monogamous knitter. I need lots and lots of projects. So I am going to get started on a new project later on today. So I'm going to York with work tomorrow, which means that I've got about 2.5 hours on a train, and then I've got a night in a hotel, and then I've got another 2.5 hours on a train to come home. So lots of knitting time basically. And there are some socks that are in my plans for the year. They're the Mermaid socks by Summer Lee, and I have got this yarn that has been sitting here waiting to be worked on for quite some time. So this yarn is called Kaluna Heather, and it's by an indie dyer called Coastal Creative Links. Okay, so for anybody who's not in the UK, Links is the shortened version of Lincolnshire, one of our counties. And I've had this base before. It's a 75-25, so 75 wool, 75, well, merino wool, sorry, and 25% nylon. I've had it before in Highland Heather, which created a lovely, beautiful green, various different greeny coloured pair of socks that I made the crunkled socks out of, which I think I showed on maybe my first podcast. But this sock set I got a while ago, and I've just been waiting for the right pattern for it. And I love the look of the mermaid socks. I just think this is going to be beautiful. I mean, if you look, so many pretty colours in this. You've got aquas, teals, limes, you know, sort of this beautiful sort of purple, almost like like a damsonberry kind of colour. And all of that sort of built through. There's some elements of like gold in there almost as well. It's so pretty, and the mermaid socks I just think are going to show this off a treat. So I'm going to wind this up later today, and that is going to be my train and being away project. So I don't want to take my Jose hood on the train with me. It's a bit too big for a confined space, given that, you know, some poor sod's got to sit next to me, and I could be all elbows knitting something of that size. So yeah, that's going to be my little sock knitting project for the train and for my evening in the hotel. Oh, sorry, that was really slurpy. That was proper slurpy, wasn't it? So that's going to be my next project. I do have another colour work sock project that I'm planning to do, which is a pair of socks for my older brother. And I do have plans for another pair of fingerless gloves. So my aunt, who lives out in Michigan, is coming over to the UK, hopefully May time. And she said that she struggles to get fingerless gloves, and they're very practical. So it's probably because Michigan is incredibly cold, and you want like mittens or at least fingers on your gloves when it gets that cold. But she really would like a pair, so I'm going to make her some. So that's for you, Auntie C. I will make you a pair of fingerless gloves, mittens, whatever you want to call them, for when you come and visit. So looking forward to seeing you. What else have I got? Now, so I have some acquisitions. In fact, this is probably going to be the bigger segment. I'm going to try and whiz through this as quickly as possible because there's a lot. And it's largely because my birthday is in February, and so I've had gift vouchers to spend from both Christmas and then from my birthday, and I have gone to town because I have plans. So the first thing I will show you is I have been swatching. I'm very excited about this. So I have been swatching for the Staffin vest. So I bought this pattern probably when it came out, in all fairness, which wasn't that long ago. And I have been waiting to spend my birthday pennies on a lovely yarn for it. And I'm really pleased with my choice. It did cause me a moment's stop, because I did not meet gauge the first time round. I was very close to meeting gauge, but not enough. And the yarn that I really wanted to use with it wasn't creating the fabric that I expected. But I changed my needle size and created something that I was very happy with. But it has meant that I've then had to go and spend a little extra money on some larger needles, because the ones I had, there was no way I was going to be able to. I'll explain in a minute. So this is my swatch. So you can see, hopefully the light is bringing up all of that prettiness. Now you'll see it is it's not exactly a square shape, and that's because half of it was done in the recommended 5mm needles, and then the other half of it was done in 5.5mm needles. And the 5.5 gets me gauge, and the fabric feels what I was hoping for in terms of the fabric as well. The fabric in the 5mm isn't bad, and I probably could adjust it. It was just a little bit more dense than I wanted. So I'm doing the Staffin vest, and I just wanted it because it's a bit of a transitional piece, the vest. I did want it just to be slightly more drapey and slightly more airy, without losing the detail of the texture at all. And the 5.5mm needles do that for me, which is amazing. Only problem is, and this is not to hate on Knit Pro in any way, because I think they have some really fantastic products. But the only 5.5mm needles that I had were Knit Pro Zings. And on a project like this, because it's going to be quite a sizable garment, I really didn't want to work with their cables. I'm sorry Knit Pro, but I've been spoiled with my ChowGoo cables, and now I don't want to work with anything else. And I'm sure that's how ChowGoo get you, isn't it? You know, with the excellent cables that you can't stick on any other needles. No. Anywho, it meant that I needed to go. Well, I had options. I was very tempted to go and buy the full ChowGoo set of larger tips. So, because my set of interchangeables goes up to 5mm, and I thought, well, I could go and buy the larger set, and I'd have all of the bigger needles. I thought about it then. I thought, actually, what's the likelihood of me doing a huge amount of knitting in much larger size needles, like up to 9mm, for example? And very unlikely. So I went and just purchased the 5.5mm needles and a big enough cable, so use the large cables for my needs. Happy. And that was many thanks actually to the Little Knitting Company. I've got all of my ChowGoos from them. They're based in Oxfordshire. They are not my local yarn shop, but I think they are someone's local yarn shop, and there's not many places that I've been able to find online where I can get ChowGoo from, but I would as much as, you know, sort of, if I needed to, I could always, I'm sure, order direct from ChowGoo. And I know now you can get some ChowGoo needles on Amazon, which may be coming through small businesses, but if I can go to you know, a local business somewhere in the UK and support them, I would much prefer to do that. And they've always been fantastic at, you know, sort of getting orders out really quickly, and they did it again this time, so they absolutely smashed it. So thanks to everybody at the Little Knitting Company in Oxfordshire. So anyway, I'm really happy with my swatch. I'm really happy with the pattern, how it's coming out. So I'm thrilled with that. And I'm really happy with my yarn choice as well. So this, I got, my colleagues are just the best. And they got me for my birthday a voucher, which I could use at John Lewis. And John Lewis in the UK stock yarn. Who'd have thought it? Clothes, homeware goods, everything. They stock everything. And I knew that I wanted, and I knew that I would probably need something slightly chunkier than an Aran weight, which is what's recommended in the Staffin pattern. And that's just purely because I'm a really tight knitter. And I am aware of that. So I went for, this is West Yorkshire Spinners, 100% blue-faced Kerry Hill. It's their Retreat Chunky Roving. And I got this in shade 341, which is Tranquil. I just love the amber kind of ginger biscuit kind of colour. Because I thought, for me, this vest is going to be worn probably over like long sleeve, either in a cream colour top or black, and I thought that would just go perfectly over each. So I got myself a vest quantity of that with the vouchers that my colleagues got me, and I have enough left over of those vouchers to also put towards some compost for my allotment, because I can turn that voucher into like lots of different shop vouchers. So some of it is has gone on John Lewis gift vouchers, and the other half of it will go probably on National Garden Centre vouchers, so that I can go and get some compost and some seeds and whatever else I might want to spend it on, because we are now very quickly moving into the growing season on my allotment. and I have more to talk about on that front as well. The other thing I got though is my other half, Mr. T, got me gift vouchers for the Wool Warehouse for Christmas, and I've been umming and ahhing over which jumper it is I'm going to be doing. And I have flim-flammed between a few different patterns, and I was pretty much sold on the field sweater, which I think is by Camilla Vad, I think it is. And it's beautiful, and I will still absolutely make that. But as I was going through all of this, I realised that I purchased a pattern a couple of years ago when I first wanted to make a jumper, and I loved this pattern, and I got the pattern, and I downloaded it, and I took one look at it, and it was like proper squeaky bum time, because it made no sense to me. There was charts that I didn't understand how to read charts. There was, if you're this, follow this chart. If you're that, follow that chart. And as a real beginner, I panicked and just went, no, this is not a now pattern. But a few years on now, I'm looking at it and I'm going, I think I could work that out. And it's a jumper that I think is absolutely beautiful. And I think there's a YouTuber, she doesn't post regularly. She goes through phases of posting depending on sort of what's going on in her life and how she feels in that particular moment. And she's exceptional. I wish she would do more stuff. But I also completely respect the fact that people need balance to, sort of in their lives, and YouTube is not a priority, sort of when you have a family and, need to keep your head straight around certain things. But it was Mermaid, I think, is the YouTube channel. And she had this jumper in, I guess like a goldy kind of, a goldy bronzy colour. It was beautiful, and it was the Whitmoor sweater. And that's what really prompted me to buy the pattern. Anywho, long story short, because I'm waffling now, I decided to purchase some yarn for that. And I've bought the Drops Merino Extra Fine. I've bought it in this colour, which is colour 52. I think it does have a name, but I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's this lovely kind of forest leafy green colour. It feels lovely. It's their Merino Extra Fine. It is a superwash. I know some people don't like superwash, but it suits me and my lifestyle, and the fact that if my other half does the washing, he is not going to refrain from putting hand knit goods in the washing machine alongside, I don't know, like a big pair of roughy tufty jeans or something like that. He just won't think about it. So I do try and do the washing myself as a result, but it just suits me. So that will be after my Staffin vest, but I thought I'm just going to go and get it now so that I've got it there, so if the urge takes me to cast it on any sooner than that, I absolutely can. So I'm pretty pleased with those yarn purchases. But I have so many other things that I need to go through with you. I told you I got some socks that I was going to make for my brother. This is going to play a part in that. They're colourwork socks. And if you do watch Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, and you see this blue, it might give you a clue as to what it is I'm going to be doing with those socks. He will love them, massive nerd that he is. And I also, with my vouchers, I saw this colour here. So this is Pennyroyal. And I just thought this was a really pretty colour. And I've got the 52 Weeks of Socks books, and there are some patterns in there that just really suit themselves to, lend themselves to quite a feminine vibe, and I think this also matches that feminine vibe. I did also pick up some other stuff as well. I do love a stripy sock, and this is not for now at all. This is for next year. This is what's it called? This is Nutcracker. So this is like maybe this year's or maybe even last year's Christmas colourway by West Yorkshire Spinners. But I like to get them in the New Year sales and then just do them the next year, because who doesn't love a bargain? And then this is one that I've been eyeing up for quite some time. So this was from their Wild Birds or something like that. I can't remember what they called it, but this is Starling. So it's got loads of different colours in there, purples, blues, greys, greens, to get kind of, I suppose, emulate that reflectivey, multicoloured tinge that starlings have to their wings, and I just thought that was cute. And when I fancy just some vanilla socks that, you know, stripe up in a nice pattern, that will be my go-to. So yeah, so I do have various yarn acquisitions there. I've also been looking through my stash because I do have quite a sizable stash. I'm just looking at it. It's there looming at me. I do have quite a sizable stash, and I dig into that quite regularly. I mean, I say it's quite sizable. It is. I'm sure other people have got bigger stashes. And what I will say is, bear in mind, when I'm talking about my acquisitions, I have no expectations that anybody needs to have a lot of yarn in their life or a lot of accessories and all of that sort of stuff. This is because it's been my birthday and therefore I've gone to town and spent it on the things that I love, but nobody should feel under any pressure to build a massive yarn stash. Do with, you know, what you will. It's your hobby. Have what you have. But I did, out of my yarn stash, I had a mystery yarn, that's what we'll call it. So this was something that I purchased probably a couple of years ago when I was in Lutterworth, and I nipped into a yarn shop there, and when I was speaking to the lady from the yarn shop, she was explaining to me that this ball of yarn, this one gigantic ball of yarn, was designed for you to be able to knit a jumper, a sweater, out of one ball of it. I haven't weighed it. I have lost the yarn band, so I know that it will be acrylic. It's got like a nice halo to it though. I don't know if you can see that on it. I know that it will be acrylic. I don't know whether it's an acrylic mix. It's got quite, I'm guessing, again, it's difficult to tell. I don't think it wouldn't be classed as DK. It's either a fingering weight, maybe a sport weight. It's not a lace weight though. It's definitely more than that. But the thing is, I don't know what it is. But what I do remember is that the yarn band did have a pattern for a shawl on it. And that's what I would quite like to make up with it. However, I don't know what it is, and therefore I'm struggling to source the pattern that came with it. I don't know where that yarn band has gone to, but it is gone. So I have reached out to the shop to see if the yarn shop owner remembers it and if she can help me at all. So hopefully she'll come back to me and I'll be able to find out what that what that actually was and create something out of that, because it's taken up a lot of space on my shelves, and I would actually like to do something with it. It's a massive ball of yarn, so there's got to be at least, I don't know, I want to say at least 2, maybe 300 grams to it, but who knows. I'll weigh it and find out. So that's some mystery yarn that I've got going on there. I did also make some practical purchases. So not only did I get the 5.5mm Chalgu tips and the large cables to go with them, I had got one set of 9-inch circulars and the 2.5mm needles. I enjoyed working with those on the colour work, so I'm going to go with those again. So I got another one so that I can work like 2 socks consecutively. But when I'm working on those 9-inch circulars, obviously it's a bit perilous because stitches could come off at any point. And I only have one teeny tiny stitch stopper. Don't ask me where the other one has gone. There were definitely 2 to start off with, but I don't know where the other one is. Probably down my sofa or something like that. So I went onto Amazon and I thought, look, there's got to be something on Amazon, and there are. I got some little stitch stoppers. Sorry for the ring light. There we go. Let's see if I can hide that. So these will fit anything from 2.25mm up to, I think it was about 7 or 8mm needles, and a combination of leaf and flower stitch stoppers. I just thought were cute and practical. So I've got some of those. They're like a silicone, I guess, kind of material, but they're definitely more of a practical purchase, but definitely one that I needed. So, where are we? 40 minutes already, good grief. Is there anything else I still need to go? Oh, okay, yes. So, this is my next thing. Hopefully, the audio for this video is a little better. I'm currently recording this on my phone, so the picture might be better than previous episodes as well. Previously, I was recording on webcam, which was not a 4K webcam. I should be recording in 4K on my phone. I will say it's way more difficult to know where to look on your phone, because looking for that little green light or looking at the back camera is just, and not knowing whereabouts you sit in the frame is challenging. But I thought, well, this might be better. And I have a microphone set up now as well, so hopefully that's good. But then I saw my little brother yesterday, and when I say, oh my God, I mean, oh my God, because he was just like, oh, I've got some stuff for you. If you're enjoying doing your podcast, I've got some stuff that you might find useful. I was like, yeah, sure, great. And he was like, you can have it as like a bit of a birthday present, like on like long-term loan while you get into it. And I was like, yeah, cool. I have a camera. He's lent me his Sony ZV-1, which I think is probably one of the most popular podcasty type cameras out there. So I have the reason I'm not using this now is because literally he gave me all this stuff yesterday, and I've been trying to watch YouTube tutorials on how to use these and how to get it set up in the best way, but it's going to take some practice. So this will definitely be a between now and my next episode, because I wanted to get this one out. But this is one aspect of it. I also have a microphone and arm. I've got an all singing, all dancing gimbal, so that when I want to do any filming down the allotment, I can do as well and keep a steady picture. I've got battery type, like he has all of the kit, and he's basically just gone, you could just borrow this for as long as you need to, until you've sort of saved up what you need to buy your own stuff. And I'm just like, this is excellent. So now I feel incredibly techie, but also incredibly terrified by the technology because I don't know what I'm doing with it. But thank you to my brother. I won't say his name just in case he doesn't want it out there, but thank you, baby bro. You are awesome. And yeah, like I'm pretty sure that's it. In terms of the allotment, things are going well. I spent some time down there yesterday, just getting more stuff set up. I got my broad beans in the ground and supported as well, because some of them were getting a bit leggy. They'd grown up on the windowsill, and obviously there's not that much light during the day, so they are really working hard for that. I should get some grow lights really for when I'm starting stuff off indoors, but I haven't. So they were getting a bit leggy, so I thought they need to go out. They're pretty hardy, even if we get hit by some cold temperatures, some frost and what have you, they should see it through. And hopefully it's been cold enough that we won't have the same slug problem that we had last year. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for. I've also got my sweet peas. Again, they were getting a bit leggy, but I needed to build like a frame, so I nipped to B&Q yesterday and got some galvanised chicken wire to put over an arch that I'd got in the allotment, so that they can grow up the arch quite comfortably. A few of those are in the ground already. I've got a few more on the windowsill being started at the moment. I've got numerous bits and bobs growing on the windowsill. They do need to start kind of going out during the day, hardening off a little bit. The temperatures are a bit warmer now, and they will continue to rise. It might be too early for some of them, but I just thought, do you know what, give it a bash, why not? What's the worst that can happen? They'll die, I'll plant some more. That's what it's all about, isn't it? So there are still plans for the allotment to get a shed on the allotment as well, so I might record that so that you can see that when it happens. But that won't be probably until next month, I think. But otherwise, I think that's everything. Thank you very much for joining me today, and hopefully you've enjoyed my little show and tell, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode at some point in the future. I guess all that remains for me to say is ta-ra a bit, as they say from around here, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me. Cheers.